I'm moving back to New York straight from this, so I have like.
Oh, that's why your suitcase is like.
Yeah, it is.
Would you close the door?
Yeah. All right. Well, free time. Good luck.
Bad luck, sir.
Damn.
Just kidding.
Bad luck. That's
Good luck.
Thank you. I think we almost banned our lab after him 3 years ago.
Yeah, then they voted it down because he wasn't allowed.
No, we voted it. We lost by one vote. I have switched votes.
Yes.
Okay, let me turn on my computers. Did you do an email chain or is it?
Yeah, I did an email chain.
Okay. Where is outlet? It's the only one.
You want to switch?
Yeah, that's good.
Wait, do you have the extension cord that they gave you guys? Can you just use that?
No.
Yeah, there you go.
Wait,
Wait, plug it in right behind you.
Okay.
Let me go to my email.
What?
I'm going to my email now.
Okay.
Technology never works. That didn't work.
Wait, that one needs to be turned on. Okay, it's
Explain. Alright. Okay, what is this? White screen. Because I have to switch inboxes, but.
Okay.
Get rid of this object. Okay, I'm waiting for my inbox to load.
Wait a second.
Okay, here, I'm downloading this doc.
And cursor. Yeah.
How many sheets?
Like 2.
Okay. Opening doc. What? Okay, opening doc. Second time's the charm. What? I'm sorry.
No.
Third time's the charm. Okay, it says starting Microsoft Word. See this?
Yeah.
Did you put some sort of like virus to like
No, I
crash
don't
it?
think so. Not this.
Okay, next time. Alright, what's going on? How is this not working?
It might be.
Okay, open a read. Okay, fine. Read only copy.
Wait. You might want to close other docs. Sometimes that lags it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, here. Open
Yeah.
it. There we go. There we go.
Wait, and cursor. Yeah. So.
It's open. Sorry.
Oh, just let me know.
Read only. Okay. I'm good.
Okay, wait. This center is surrounding 68 outweighs that as well, looking for reversal and for while the moment he needs to restore outweighs the restore and many suffering translates universal, not natural debt. Advantage one missions, air first talking is unsustainable plans, urgency assumes self aircraft secure and enduring your power advantage that favors discussion encouraging, get power beer, with the use of supremacy, but align out your personal distinct best defenses, office, hard balance, superior defense, office of your technical Russian, such about sustainability on this assumed passive, purpose by expensive action, aircraft promote the app, to take change of jobs or surprise and works, some of the defenders, the social advantage, great packing, practice with defense, and expendability of the air defense, air Force Boost, obviously defense of low blues, adversaries no chance conversing offense first air mission versus action obviously surprise beef and offense face source, attacking intensifying arms first sex and private attacks invest, it's turning insecure. America is doubling down on heavy bombers in the new south and strike capabilities ornament. With the AFP and B turning up so loudly, you should let this hibernate. That's what provided for their range man Korea Vietnam. Focus on the South China bombers, obviously accidentally on the same with accuracy. Such a target law for conventional weapons for commanders, since already pledges to boot. And to be presented, you will posture into story AFP, there's no concern to try to support with AFP. Let's be turning on aircraft while kiss you could crash capabilities registered by letter. Fighter aircraft. Defenders ensure structural and technological advantages that perhaps involving doctrine for failure agreement. With the opportunity airspace is for military officer world to story defense is not sufficient called about this remains attention. Not just be flexibility and pressure, it's not just start first, it's assumption heard it. So they said that it's from talking about defense aircraft. Advances radar, which is on your Russia, Rory said, makes sense. That's something they approach the lowest defenders, but you're not in vehicles. Simply your hearts to aim for fighting against fear, integrated mobile defense bear. But targeting guys security, the U.S. networks attempts to erect these robotics, they had no tank that you can transform. Undercraft just for and Sabrilla, election average trying to search capabilities, the country trying to as quote fastest attrition fidelity to the nuclear bomb mission, interest nuclear wars, each asteroid, if you be turning a nuclear bombs, when you want to be too rude, disappointing, and so let's man bomber talking about the person who cancel weapons, history, weakness, and bombers, red flexibility, called to redirect his air, infliction, his hot mod, now motive, history shows why such a structure of bombers, ability is to strike place and waste on corrective security, the since you see when an appropriate new bomber for nuclear attacks will go to present, this are however, when I've been enable an ideal mission mandates, malfits, effectiveness of entirely present, 20 cycling operation number, bomber teachers request and support, beholding, Stockholm, Rizzo mission, this tension, exercise paradox, managers, carbide, numerous agency, each bombers to shape operation, to show support, their probability, mission, these other, effectiveness, each popper, asking too much, too little, and commingling missions, cast new clubs, calculation, Christensen, for the exercise bombers, increase stock, put a new plan insurance in terms, under design this offensive capability for basing, equals to propagate closer, Russia B-52s, nuclear low over blue Sweden, and safety food threatening nuclear weapons, integration of the same force have increased stability, we start saying nuclear solution resulting overreactions, new bomber technology, tries armor system that goes nuclear and run out, with the air being contributor spanning, working the armor speeds, trying to sell up, however, more for area FSC, secret facing with some sense of overall, bombardment, next year, gravity bomb, LS, or 60 pump to start getting more faster, you defense area, so much consequences to building air armors, much per second operating stability, effective conventional controls resolve 5% A2AD and enter usable aircraft, intercrossing Zucosia, with the conventional control would provide significant flexible power keeping aircraft, airborne range of the aircraft with fighting in minutes and then lost on ground, and calculus right to search your rebel space, signatory, detect and attack your World War tried, and I can compete a minute at any time, B-50s or airborne, take care of modern version of conventional control, 24/7 bombers, conventional control cycle, and the problem for China bombers, all major shows are able to the only cost, integration AFC on B-50 cube chassis, until Hawkeye and Supersonic SM-6 at maximum, the United States possession of nuclear weapons intended to be deployed by heavy bomber, nuclear missions is immoral, advanced modernization, tried recapitalization, assumes just-in-time transition that's overstretched and likely to fail agreed on, with the modernization accomplishments to try transition, making tasks complicated, synchronization duty, the NSA and state months to achieve, for example, what typically AD and LR store, production, display, lack of virtue, becoming unhealthy, and sentinel alternate, ability to include immature tactics, future testing, most marches, when consuming HM, virtual false mitigation measure are not, the requirements are faster than fighting full, but you're not enough for mitigation will be required decision must be seen, here's in advance, the Pentagon's reverse bomber requirement pledge to pursue, presenting capabilities young 24, Pentagon instantly gravity bomb, yes, 3 BC to 112, under cruise with substitute to start to put 1 BC to 113, better solid to 11 gravity bombs, the 12 face over Los Angeles, committed to retire bombs to change the 11 penetrate harder, inverted targets, submission shine, existing subs, hold the same targets, reverse current plans aren't executable, overrun and delays the cuts to conventional and nuclear programs and double right, if you nuclear reactor result to systemic insertion reality and recapitalize ourselves, same time, introduce have a cost of rational cost, each funding for defense or reduce arsenal bombs, each cost would be below $80, and each cost and coincides with conventional mod F-35 techniques and subs reduction, reroute the shotgun, the door, Gulf between motor result of self-optimal torsion, interest, response, 7.20 feet, infrastructure supply, Japan supported Pentagon way modernization, company sustain, estimate not include cost of upgrade warheads and infrastructure, synergy, data, and natural state, further feature, because we're so large variances, infrastructure building unlike executable, place cost sourcing reduction, failure to shift from the tried otherwise in terms of increasing like a novel existential risk Ferrari, which is a better 75 vulnerability to get into trial, right? There's complexity offers unconventional option for minutia, value, use fixed out, allocated, capacity, trillion, false security, advanced attack, left years, vulnerability, new accidental tests, weaknesses, exploration, carbon attacks, and do so with like pause, attacking the story about the sort of leadership, democratizing, because the track impacts you can say, I'm sure it's anti, and elect you will use by attack, unleash destruction, and trade resist, you can do, you can lose it, first, intelligence, and posture, transfer, and reflex, obviously, also allow prioritization, relocation, needed, using trying to like and push order, using trying inflexible, investment against cyber-connected, attack, generate, good insurance, because capitalization likes to be like, defense successes have low price returns while untracked, also, associate your lucky different production, resume, reverse, and try to lock into conventional threats, bombers, and the most expensive, least effective, like, pursue deck space and cyber ready Swanson, so we also no longer just like bomb attack, limited advanced cost of new cell, bombers, because of Nazi actors, terrorism, and cyber war, utility, conventional bomber, some of the essential double SCBMs and subs, bombers, they overkill, no longer just viable, Nazi actors, or terrorists, or British bombers, and conventional versus try to deliver news, essential side by shooting, terrorist vulnerability, weakness, and great ICBMs, SLBMs, are well, they are slow, will defense, price attacks, and minimal second strike ICBMs, SLBMs, side effect, terrorist, first bombers, into the low success rate among platforms, the environment, pride, respond to no longer exists, highlighted by cyber space, need of defensibility, investor base, but efforts to need to testing time and testing seen cyber and space which is being wrestling Bob life failing either the main breaks to turn to his nuclear code and 20 capacity sits and technical insurance are going to be understood and put in over generate response to storage or weapons system the other using the super facility comes from women just like cyberspace has become it has not attacked as a for certifying ability to aggression space has been a travel part of insurance saga able to execute target may be understood as research cyber you can similar fake insurance existential types of research protection new jobs and target space test applicability the plan enables cost effective modernization of the rest of the triad order with the procurement of confrontation with fear adversary Russia China America advisor would have become at a word price. Only part I marked was ornament at price.
Okay. Good.
Yep.
All right. I want to start with the plan. How do you know which weapons are intended to be used in bombers?
Well, it's a value statement, not a governmental policy. Our value statement is that those nuclear weapons that are intended to be placed and used inside bombers or possessed inside of bombers are immoral.
Okay. How do you determine what counts as that, though?
So the way I phrase it is like this is not a traditional resolution where we have like a policy plan to like join UNCLOS or something like that. Instead,
So
it's
do you
a value
defend an
statement.
action or not?
Well, we defend that possession is immoral, the plain text. This resolution doesn't necessarily prescribe an action, rather it asks us to determine whether or not an action is immoral. For example, I can say running is immoral,
determine
whether or not
an action is
running
immoral. How do we determine what aspect of the action you said is immoral is included under that?
Yeah, so in this case, under our standard of preventing extinction, we've determined that these nukes, which are intended to be used inside of or possessed inside of bombers, are immoral because they increase the risk of extinction as per both of our advantages.
I want to talk about the first advantage, the terminal impacts. So I guess, what are they?
So the first one is just like nuclear war.
Okay, sorry, I mean the internal links to nuclear war, I understand.
Yeah. Oh, you want the internal links?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So the first one is that the Bremer card says that the presence of nuclear weapons inside bombers encourages offensive posture, which causes.
What do you mean by offensive posture?
So there's two types of ways bombers can be used. Defensive, i.e. like not flying over or near other adversarial countries, but rather just patrolling our area. Offensive would refer to using bombers to directly attack other countries or placing or like
Okay,
flying
so is
them
your
near other
argument that it
countries.
incentivizes U.S. action against other countries?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where?
Sure. Our Christensen card gives Russia as an example. The Bremer card also talks generally about no matter where a minor conflict could exist, the U.S. would cause that to spiral out of control by putting bombers near there. But the Christensen card gives an example of when we flew a bomber near Putin, he freaked out because he didn't know what was going on. There's no communicability between the two countries. Even though it was just overflying Sweden, one of our allies, because it was so close to Putin, he was uncertain, and an accident like that could quickly lead to miscalculation. There are also other internal links. For example, the fact that these bombers cause us to feel overcertain in our military capabilities when in reality, they're very easy to intercept because the stealth tech is outdated and every adversary has the ability to intercept them.
The second advantage, internal links.
Yeah, sure. So there's two terminals. The first one is a deterrence of novel existential risks. The internal link to that one is that bombers are costly to prevent modernization of the triad and investments in resources that are necessary to deter those existential threats. The second terminal is space and cyber readiness. Our internal link is similar.
How do you solve space?
Yeah, the Watson card says that the existence of bombers prevents investment in those in those nuclear deterrence capabilities because bombers are so expensive and require so many resources, require so much agency governance that it directly trades off with that.
Okay. I'm gonna take prep running. Let me get the time.
Wait, before we start prep, are we doing 5 or 4?
I think it's 5, right?
Okay, sure.
I thought that's what I said on the invite. Okay, I'll start prep now. Okay, I'll stop prep. I have 157 remaining. I'll send the doc. It's going to be 6 off and then the case. The case is going to be the first advantage and the second advantage, but honestly, just throw it all on the same page if you want.
Okay, sure.
Here, send the doc. There, sent.
Okay, I'll let you know. This round robin's so cooked. I got a disclosure email before the 1AC started.
Yeah, I sent my F when I walked over here, so just to avoid that problem. Okay. Sorry, it's 5 off. I
Okay.
misspoke. Is anybody not good?
I'm yet. Alright, I just got it. Let me open it. Okay, I'm good.
Are you good, Chris?
Yeah, I'm
First off, T, nuclear weapons excludes anything separable from the device. Roger 70, nuclear weapons excludes instruments for the transport or propulsion separable from the device. Nuclear weapons are used to refer to the weapon itself. Weapon system refers to the associated equipment. Air Force 22 nuclear weapons. Complete assembly nuclear weapon system. Nuclear weapons and a means of delivering it violation is that all of their cards describe the process of removing bombers and the bombers themselves as being the problem. Otherwise, they don't solve their impact because there's not a reason that removing the nukes means that the bombers themselves don't interfere with adversarial space. Vote neg for limits in the ground. Otherwise, any delivery system allows them to skirt all links to any negative objections related to assurance and deterrence because they would keep the actual nukes themselves around. Next off. The possession before a plural noun, like nuclear weapons, means all ventures of 3 other percent of cards, possession of all as opposed to any matter of construction, possesses equipment, presence, the significant propulsion of some, not all, does not specify spanning 3 centuries, the not discrete components, prefer 1, limits. There are 13,000 bombs across all locations, 9 countries, and various purposes. 2, ground, every bomb has a distinct purpose, which zaps unifying links. 3, defense, picks, solved by NPT, uniformity, fiating out of nuke ORTEGAs, and cheating deficits. 4, precision, only we define res language, contextualizes the res, precision comes first, it's a side constraint on all pre-ground prep, and the only non-arbitrary way to prove what is this topic, and our evidence cites hundreds of years. 5, competing in terms of reasonabilities, arbitrary scope of limits makes them unreasonable, and there's no bright line, so it's arbitrary, which decks neg fairness. Now, Trump's chaotic foreign policy backfires now. He's abandoning America first, People's 26, even for president thrives on chaos, Trump generating storming turmoil as voters deliver verdicts on leadership in midterms. Decision carries risk, presidency gone rogue, undeterred by blowback. Republican leaders rally behind Trump. New cracks begin to appear, takes America first foreign policy, new directions expand. U.S. role in foreign entanglements, departure from policy on the campaign. There's an analytical link that matters, which is that they said that the bombers enable Trump's provocations in other countries. That's our point. That's what causes him to lose now. If they solve that, then it means that it links to our dissad. Now, nuclear reductions are overwhelmingly popular from people's fears. Support directly goes to the sitting president. In context of Trump, Arms Control Association 24, ACA nonpartisan org, highlight nuke challenges. Voters are increasingly aware. Deeply concerned majority of nukes make the world more dangerous. 60% next president would have strong U.S. popular support for nuclear arms control. Poll indicated 86% support nuclear arms control with Russia, 88% with China. Long-standing popular consensus for ICBM phase out specifically. Abahutter, not reading that card. Dem House is the last remaining firewall to authoritarianism. Driscoll 25-26 symptoms. Built to regain the House. Democracy face erosion. Critical Twitter held hostage. Would intensify delegitimize agendas. Undermine rule of law. Face urgent challenges. Weakness by more manufactured shutdowns. Debt ceiling. Brinkmanship. Republican House. Getting march to authoritarianism. The firewall to protect judicial independence and peaceful power transfer in 2028. Extinction. Public crisis. Homer Dixon et al. 24. Expanded authoritarian practices at home. Bolster governments elsewhere. Reinforce domestic increase. Failed states. Property of blocks. Reproduce participation in NATO security arrangements. UN. Other institutions of knock-ons. Governance failure. Pandemic preparedness and conflict management. Encourage armed races. Raise great power. War. Climate change. Place additional strain. Competition. Inhabit climate cooperation. Increase 3 degrees. Set please. Warming. Locked in. Raise. Interstate war. Waters. Unexpected shocks. Next off. The United States' use of nuclear bombers over adversarial airspace is immoral. The United States' transfer of nuclear weapons intended to be used in bombers from the Air Force to the Army is moral. Transferring ICBMs avoids deterrence, expands air power. Harrison, 25 ICBMs from the Air Force. Not gonna read the card, actually. A2AD doesn't matter. Case. A2AD doesn't matter. Geography, economic downturn, and aging crisis, constraint, aggression. Back with 17, China's neighbors developed A2AD, deny sea and air control. China cannot overcome its power projection forces or expensive economy. Is a losing stream and homeland ops consume resource. China is unlikely to redraw East Asia. China's maritime neighbors border the East and South China Seas, whereas China is hundreds of miles away. Forced cycle between the combat and mainland severely limits assets China could sustain, whereas neighbors operate from home bases, full arsenals at their disposal. Balance will remain stable. Military tech favors defending nations, even weak countries. Counter expansion growth fallen by half. Experience rapid aging crisis. China's military devotes 1 1 million troops to internal security, maintaining drains 35% of China's military budget, domestic drag that puts power protection out of reach. A2AD is useless anyway. Rob Lynn 19, shutdown access, mitigated tech, overemployed buzzword, effective, challenging, vulnerable to dissipation, not insane, high enough, cost ops. Now, on the first advantage, the arguments about air power, their first card is from 2022, which is thumped by Ukraine and the Iran strikes that we did a couple months ago, which proves that our air power is enough to do objectives. Nonetheless, the impact, the terminal impact to it is thumped by this likewise, because we've had our planes in the regions around NATO and Russia for a long time. They said we flew over Sweden. They don't have a reason why. Now is key to escalation. The technological advantages stuff is answered by the A2AD component of this. Go to the second advantage. The first existential threat laundry list is false. They don't have a warrant for out any of it. The cyber attacks internal link lacks a terminal impact to it. There's no reason that those cause retaliation. AI is an all causes explained in their evidence. It's unclear how they solve any aspect of it. Nonetheless, false alarms are denied by the historical record and solved by safety precautions within Williams 23. Many historical examples of false alarms are computer-generated messages. Every example redundant safety measures ensured one failure did not lead to actual failure. Everything from weapons to crew are designed to mitigate error through safety measures, specifically designed to prevent accidental war. And 32 accidents never experienced accidental miscalculation. When one layer failed, another succeeded. Multiple failures must occur. There's no cyber attacks on U.S. nuclear weapons. Temple rests in 22. America's slow walk modernization academy strategy systems are so old they're unhackable. Geriatric nuclear systems provide incubation from attack systems so old there's nobody who know how to get them command and controls in robust against cyber threat. We're adding another plank to the counterplan. The United States' response to cyber attacks with nuclear weapons is immoral. I'll send it out after. Now, okay. Okay. Go back to advantage 1. Okay, I'm just gonna send this out after or later. There is no accidental war. States irrational and fear makes escalation less likely. Shake 23. Accidental war has been repudiated by historical cases. History provides no examples. Concert kept allows leaders to evade culpability, encouraging negligence, treating government choices as of natural force. Cultural factors most difficult to grasp. War as accident circumvents. Continuous explanations. Miscalculation not happened among great powers in Berlin. CMC. Hungarian uprising. Those cases. Political sentiments avoid war. States know what they're doing. There is no automatic bridge to escalation. Fear causes policymakers to assess behavior that steadies the hand. Go to the second advantage. The complexity internal link is answered by like the AI all causes component. Technology modernization is inevitable, but nukes can't be struck because we read evidence about that. Modernization of the rest. I don't think they read an impact here. They didn't read this last card. Accidental launch is answered by the impact defense. We read to that. Neg fiat is good. It's necessary to check asks to force them to have intrinsic reasons why nuclear weapons are immoral that are not just incidental, and is necessary for neg debatability against new affirmatives. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, good for process.
Yeah, can I just send that card first?
Yeah, could you send the
I'll send the plank and the card. Sounds good?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. No accidental war. Let's see. I'm just gonna put it on top of the case, alright?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I'll send that.
Sure. You good for process?
Or wait, I want to put the plank on.
Yeah, of course.
Put it on the read version.
Yeah, don't worry. It's just like the plank that I really need that card out.
Okay, I'm sending the doc.
Yeah.
Okay, I sent it. I'm good for CX.
Great. The second plank of the advantage counterplan transferring nukes from the Air Force to the Army, how does this avoid the net benefit?
It avoids the net benefit because we keep the nuclear weapons.
Okay, so how does it solve the case? Would the Army still be able to use them, or like what happens to the nuclear weapons?
It relieves pressure on the Air Force. You said that Air Force funds, specifically we said that if we just transfer them over to the Army, then the Air Force has those resources freed up to do whatever else.
Okay, sure.
We think that it doesn't matter. We also think that then the Army wouldn't use them because the Army isn't equipped to do that,
Okay.
which means that we keep the physical nukes around, it just prevents them being used.
Okay, sure. So prevents them from being used, most likely in implementation of Counterplan?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Didn't read the K.
No.
Okay, sure. The ventures part on T, it says, quote, D is a function word before a plural noun indicates reference to the group as a whole. In this context of this resolution, D is before possession, which is an abstract noun. Why do you think this definition applies?
I think it applies because it's about whether or not someone possesses a plural noun, so I think that it does. I think nuclear weapons are a plural noun. I
Wait,
also
no,
think
but
there's
in the
arguments to
context-
be made that like possession refers to like the entirety of control that we can make if you dispute this in the 1 hour.
Okay, sure. In the context of this court case, the context was the word "the" was before chemical weapons, not possession. So how is this in the context of the resolution's wording of the possession?
I think that it's an example of what implementation could look like in the real world because in the context of statutes around possession.
Okay, sure. The midterms dissent, where you read uniqueness that says that Republicans will win the House right now, or Republicans will lose the House right now.
The people's evidence says that Trump is seen as abandoning his campaign trail goals. I think that makes it pretty clear. It says that there's turmoil related to voters in the first line, which questions his leadership. Quote, new cracks have begun to appear in congressional support for Trump.
Okay, status of all counterplans.
They're conditional. You read a new act, dude.
Okay, sure. Actually, back to the dissent.
Yeah.
The analytic link. Can you explain, like, even if like offensive posture gets reversed, why would people be able to see that and like care about that?
People would be able to see that because you said that it perceptively allows the U.S. to do those things. Our argument is you stop U.S. adventurism. If you win that, you stop U.S. adventurism broadly. So we've like contested the impact of that adventurism, right? But our uniqueness argument is like Trump adventurism now in places bad. Our claim is that that's why he loses because of his aggressive foreign policy is seen as abandoning his campaign trail. We think that your AF would affect his ability to do those things.
Okay, so why does a Democrat? Okay, so Republicans have trifecta right now. They control the House. Why aren't they able to do things like spread authoritarianism right now? And what change is supposed?
Because our impact is about transfer of power in the 2028 election.
Well, your impact card is how Donald Trump's
I
reelected.
understand that, but it's about authoritarianism after the re-election, which we don't think is happening now. We think that there are still checks on that.
Okay, and you said 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll send it out and then give the word. God, I'm not listening.
Okay, you said 3:30 used. Did you
Oh, no,
send it?
3:30 left.
3:30 left. Did you send the doc?
Yep, just sent it. Okay, so the order is going to be the advantage, I just loaded top down.
Okay.
T subsets,
Yeah.
T nuclear weapons / delivery system, advantage Counterplan, midterms D.
Okay, one sec. Alright. So I have you at the case, the T subsets, T delivery systems, and then
Advantage
the
counter.
counterplan.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna download the document.
I need that one more time. Yeah, of course. So case. Just
Did you
top,
press that?
Let me double check. But as I'm doing that, case top down.
Oh, I got it.
T subsets, T delivery system / T nuclear weapon, advantage counterplan, midterms T.
Okay. I'm one sec.
I'm good.
Open the doc. Okay, I'm good.
You're good, Sean?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Nuclear bombers structurally prioritize offensive air power, which culminates in great power because of surprise attacks and lower perceived cost of aggression. That's rumor. And the story A2AD not being relevant is our argument because Trump and others would still cause escalation, even though there's no positive justification for those nuclear weapons existing, but there's still deployment and deploy them for non-useful characteristics. 2022 thumb is irrelevant because we didn't deploy bombers to Russia then, and offensive posture would still terminally increase the risk of miscall. The terminal is not done because it's linear and they increase over time, especially with an authoritarian in the White House. Specifically, the flight over or near Russia causing Putin to miscalculate launching proven by radiation operations to Sweden. That's Christensen. Now it's key because Sweden fears it even more because he's losing Ukraine. Now, independently, new space-based stealth or needed action weapons cause destabilizing arms resources that cause future stability and ensure first strikes around the world. Esmeralda is not answered by A2AD because A2AD is about geography. Yes, warned all of them cause destabilizing arms races and increase risk of nuclear war. Accent to war because it's team new next-gen weapons because it means that states don't have deterrence capabilities to answer that. That answers shake now independently bombers are costly overstretched and cause cuts to conventional other nuclear weapons for guys that create on the reef that costs deterrence and friends circumstances. That's your novel existential tests like AI, biotech, and war, drones, and kinetic weapons. That's for variety external. It increases the risk of nuclear weapons. And all those are independent terminal impacts. Read our card describes them as actual AI is not all cost because we saw do investments. False alarms defense is relevant because it does deterrence tests. Threatening to be able to analyze if those are false. The alarm cyber text is not a scenario. It's about tech advanced AI stuff and modernization level is wrong because it does the lack of funding and read terminal impact. T subset counter defense subset need affects unique member of the class having the function word indicate following announcements subset unique member member. This has the indicates substitution leader and ITD is a function word indicating now as we previously let's talk about context. Vectors is in the context of plural nouns, but possession is abstract. Insert possession means ownership of any object, including subset level. Possession means ownership of any object. Precision, cost, availability, and convenient over shape. One grab book their self solve staff test is tried by NFU and shape and they can opt out of weapon scenario. Two picks they commit. One new for this offense because you're in the case check lowest, but no unified like you weren't uniformly solved by advanced complex deficits are fake and they get non-uniform impacts long to our shreds. So 3 over limiting 1 after 2 months ensures the other base over repair next 4 functional limits. Increase literature check T is limits less than 9 country to yourself and if you ensure to store bad apps or insurance regrets and philosophy check the rest reusability loss substance opportunity cost of Yang and press. You can see martial interest not arbitrary so we have a bright line not unreasonable because we have defense in their standard. In order to speak about condo and other T shell check T nuclear weapons we need one actually the plain text is nuclear warheads inside of boggers. Plain text in vacuum is best only the plain defines the function which tries arbitrariness of the sort of combination which kill fingers are released critical to function into nuclear bomb. Their cards are wrong. Bombers are a weapon system with a delivery system inside of it which contains the nuclear weapon. The plane only defends that nuclear weapon. Cartridge nuclear weapons refers to any device UNCC that nuclear weapons any device capable of reducing energy. Nuclear which has characteristics of perfect for after inside because bombers are bombs and they prefer one over limiting. They limit the amount of aspirin mechanisms which are necessary to have deficits versus process and other advantage have the two consensus. UN is best because it's a global organization. Their part is in the context of what's treaty 3 logic they make ICI set beside and non-T which are the only absolute good deficit to advantage complex adversarial posture just solved because we deploy them near allies like Sweden which is our escalations here above the from your first army plane doesn't solve because they're so costly and either the army uses them so it can't solve any part scenario or they don't use them in relation to links to that benefit. Plus it doesn't solve any part scenario about the mere existence of those bombers causing an escalation. Cyber stuff can't solve because none of our interlinks were about cyber. The midterms, the uniqueness doesn't mention house once to our these carless man weapons when not deployed station because we're going to advance 40 to 44 party numbers resistance time for advance every day. Not this year won't be credited to GOP nor will means the time for GOP agreed jobs are party of the military and will take credit regardless. Are there the impacts take too long so case always the midterms are too far to solve other issues? Got more insert chart 1925 plan unpopular 1 nuclear policy response. The workers policy assessing against policy majority will use impact of many conflicts percent 2 defense spending how do you running a nuclear insurance pay 100% of the defense budget 80% response to fear shooting ACA is biased because it's a dictate in favor of arms control. The analytical link is relevant because the public doesn't know about the agencies of military posture. Homer Dixon is about Trump winning not about defense safeguards. Impact is the long list rejected each controlling we knew on portrait they start by intervening actors. Nobody read terminal to warming or disease all plus like Russia, China and Trump will pass green policy or anti-disease policy. The only terminal again is populism. That's not by Greenland that is willing to look out treaties and it's to say willing for a couple plus in Syria would bring about authorities so Johnny we can Mark state analyst has a possibility not probably after increasing kind of 30 helps only 7% authoritarian. Mark Wheeland at authoritarian.
Okay. Cool. I have 157. I'm gonna start that right now. No reasons to reject the team?
No.
Okay, cool. Good for an order. All right, it's gonna be this side. Okay, it's just gonna be the midterms DA, and then it's gonna be the counterplan, and then the case. There's cards. I'm gonna send them out. Okay, I'm just sending them on the body. Okay, I sent the doc. Good? Or
one
let me
second.
set timers.
Yeah.
Alright, tell me when you have the cards. It's just DA, counterplan, case. And then I'll do the case same way you did.
So waiting, I'll let you know. Okay, I got that.
You got him?
Or one, yeah.
Okay. Cool. Okay, cool.
Authoritarianism outweighs its qualitatively larger and zaps resilience to all accepted risk, but a democratic win ensures transition of power and blocks the Trump agenda, which solves all of their offense, which means that democratic win in the midterm solves the case in 6 months, which means that it skirts arms racing and solves all Trump now warrants. We are explicitly conceding their arms racing internal link and saying that we solve it by democratic win now, and that gives us our internal link. It also destroys NATO, which was dropped, emboldens all adversaries. So even if no first strike happens now per our uniqueness arguments on the case, it does happen in the future. More importantly, they certainly dropped, it destroys transition of power in 2028. So even if their impact defense is correct now, it's made linearly worse in the future because only our evidence about the U.S., whereas their relevant evidence is speculative. It causes geopolitical blocks and abandons allies. So, and from governance failures, our evidence specifically says arms racing, which means we hijack their impact. Now, one error, the first argument about uniqueness, not mentioning it. Uniqueness says it's, quote, abandoning the campaign trail. Obviously, we get new evidence to respond to this, especially since they read new cards too, so we'll read evidence here. Democrats win now, margins are razor thin, prefer the nonpartisan Cook report analyzing all midterm races from today. This was the second email I sent, spell 115. Dems audit winning got better. Nonpartisan Cook report published, elections move from likely to solid Democrat. Others move into lean Democrat, 3 from solid to likely. Iowa's district have Republican reps, Ohio's and Texas initially leaning GOP, a move to toss up approval ratings in the party's favor. Only need 3 seats despite political wins. Johnson is confident Republicans are going to get grow the majority. Now, they're going to try to concede that last part, but it's just a quote from Johnson, which means that they can't get out of this because our evidence says Republican seats are actually on toss-up. Now, win now is old. Our evidence is a month newer, which we should refer to. The People's evidence also dropped the part about Venezuela, which is the largest internal link, plus Greenland posturing and Trump adventurism, which we explained below. Now, the normal means argument, obviously false. Democrats being the party is unsubstantiated by anything. Democrats can be hawks too, proved by the Obama administration intervening in the Middle East. We get to answer this with logic if they do too. Normal means obviously means the whole United States until they read evidence that says otherwise. We shouldn't have to answer this argument. Now, impacts do not outweigh from the case. We're going to win impact he considers related to accidental war because their evidence comparison is not fantastic, but our impacts certainly constrain theirs, whereas the Democratic win solves. Now, other issues. Interpretation. Debaters must read all evidence that they want evaluated. It's infinitely unverifiable how much credit you give them for, and solves and infinite assertions kill neg fairness. Reject the team for deterrence. Nonetheless, we'll answer that here. It overdetermines those other issues. Water Bill 26, foreign policy impacts us domestically months before midterms. White House's gamble targeting Latin America as it kicks off election, expect to focus on affordability. Republicans argue, whereas Trump's FOPO agenda overshadows domestic priorities. Republicans broke rank. strengths. Now, that means it matters more because it overdetermines it, even if it's about domestic agenda. Now, Plan certainly popular. Drop our evidence from the 1NC, which is certainly better than theirs because it is from a nonpartisan organization. It is not biased because it is just the result of a survey it demonstrates, but there's also the people's evidence, which demonstrates Trump adventurism, which is the analytic link that we were extending. But our Arms Control Association evidence is obviously better than theirs because it says that people, quote, believe nuclear weapons make the world more dangerous, and that 63% think we should get rid of them. It also dropped that it would go directly to the sitting president, which answers this sort of Democrat argument. Now, the nuclear policy argument does not assume Trump use or the analytic link. Pretty sure they dropped it. We'll grant that they solve Trump adventurism, and when impact defense to Trump adventurism, that means that they constrain Trump's ability to do all the fuck shit he's doing now. Defense spending is irrelevant. The survey is about funds, not adventurism, which is our uniqueness argument. Even if they think that we should keep the same amount of money, that doesn't mean they think nuclear weapons make the world safer, and the stuff above about the thumpers biases out. ACA not biased, answered above. Public not knowing is obviously false. Public would know because it would have to be announced and it would have to pass through all sorts of normal means arguments. The democratic safeguard being a laundry list is false. That was explained above. We have connected our impact to the terminal impacts that they read, and then are going to do an impact defense to it at the internal link level. Now, all causes like Trump not passing it, not sure what this argument is. The only terminal being populism is not constrained by everything. This Wayland card, one, it was marked too early. Two, is that it does not assume the specifics of our scenario. So Wayland evidence about a global populism that they've dropped that is specifically in context of Trump and Trump's effect on populism from the effect of the sustained Trump administration. But they drop peaceful transition power is sufficient to solve this. The authoritarian rule doesn't matter. They don't need to win as authoritarian to have authoritarian characteristics, which is what our internal link is, the counterplan. We're going to extend the use of, or actually, we're just going to kick this counterplan, not bothering with this. Okay, the case. We totally did bomb Iran, and there was no impact to that, which proves that their internal link starts smaller. They didn't answer that thumper. They only answered the Russia thumper. The terminal impact is linearly more likely is obviously false because they've dropped that the dissad would solve the case. It's linear over time is unquantifiable. But if this is true, then we obviously get to make these similar linearity arguments for our impact proper. Now, the flyover Russia causing Putin to miscalc. Putin does not fear it. They don't have a scenario about this. They wouldn't make the worst choice. They have dropped that states are rational, which prevents accidental war. We have read evidence in context of all previous nuclear crises, which is the sort of evidence we read from Sheikh, which I don't think they even name dropped. It was when we sent out after. It's at the top of the 1C doc. It says that accidental war is completely disproven and that leaders are not interested in it because war is always on purpose, and that when in all previous crises where leaders perceive something bad happening, like the Berlin crisis or the Cuban Missile Crisis or the Hungarian uprising, that states, quote, know what they're doing, which constrains this impact. Now, arms racing, there's no first strikes because states are rational, know what they're doing. They don't have a reason that any of the new technology makes it more likely. Next generation weapons, unclear what the warrant is from the 1AR. Even if the 1C wasn't great on this, there's no reason that they're able to solve it, which I don't think they even answered that analytic argument. Bombers, killing deterrence of novel existential risk. The AI, they certainly cannot solve that. They don't have a reason to use existential risk, but nonetheless, Trump constrains all of it because they've dropped that Trump's foreign policy agenda is aggressive and abandons allies and NATO and emboldens adversaries, which means that we turn this impact and it's now our impact. The false alarms, not assuming deterrence, obviously answers it. They don't have a scenario for this false alarm stuff. Look, I'm not even sure what the impact scenario they've gone for is. I don't think you know by the end of this debate why we fly over Russia or why any of this happens or why allies are sufficient. I'm not sure what the 1AR warrant for those claims are. Even if it's a new AF and they know it better than us, I just don't think they're doing the work to substantiate their impact, and I think that they dropped an analytical link and that we just have much better evidence on the dis side, which means we should win.
Okay, 3-3.
I sent you the app.
Okay, thanks.
Case.
Say keys with this out.
Yep.
One sec. Wait, is this round 4 or round 5? This is round 5.
We're doing 5.
No, I mean, is this round 5?
Oh, it's round 5.
Okay. Case and then DA, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I am good to hear that.
Hey, Curtis.
Try to for the oversection there, they could see that AI, biotech, infowar, drones, kinetic weapons, etc. need funding from the U.S. government in order to ensure that the existence of bombers for inside because it's absolutely funny because they cost so much money that the government can't fund those conventional programs which are necessary to ensure those otherwise those next generation weapons constitution because we can threat them and can prevent rogue actors from using them, studying them globally. The constitution that was Ferrari period on this was an entire standard that Tudor barely touched on, which is this year certainly outweighs on winning impact defense later. The Tudor's out was in Turk's case, this is wrong. One, even if Trump is a constraint, he doesn't have the resources to invest in those deterrence capabilities because he dropped repeat on brief evidence which says that the government lacks the funding to be able to invest in deterring those routines. Even if Trump is constrained and even if Democrats control the U.S., they wouldn't be able to fund conventional efforts to prevent them. The answer to this means it triggers try or die. The world of the night guarantees extinction. We do not have the resources to stop those accidental class routines. You are certain that the world of the night guarantees extinction. Extinction could have to prioritize saving the world worth living in. Our scenario also weighs 1 probability of guaranteed extinction. Swing above 2 magnitude. We have defense there. Terminal numbers, but they have basically none. Tours. I'm not going to fly for prudence today. Our accidental wars is not our scenario. It's about deterring rogue actors from using that technology. It's like things like disease, biotech using drones. The cost escalation accidental war appears assumed deterrence, which was the one in response to Shake. It seems we're ahead of the game and know about these technologies are able to deter them, which is why previous conventional wars did not escalate. But only our evidence is predictive of what would happen in the future once the U.S. government lacks funding. Cuban and Hungarian are relevant. Imagine the world if ISIS had AI weapons and bioweapons. That would obviously escalate given if the U.S. did not have the ability to deter them. Which evidence simply does not presume AI is not all cause. One, drop that it's not our scenarios about biotech. Other weapons. Two, they drop the result because we increase funding for AI post-plan because the government has the ability to increase funding, which in this official law not good for arms racing. New gen weapons did have an impact over that rogue actors launch the Constitution, which is in the one area AI solve above Trump constraint does not answer scenario because he doesn't have the resources. False arms not consider Midterms. It doesn't solve the case. I'll answer the here reject argument that he to substance drop reasonability. High here they have no offense. The charts are good because they force them to compare polls and process through images, which he input processing. Trump does not solve cases. Answer above. He doesn't have the resources to invest in. Now we'll go for a couple of true arguments. One, Homer Dixon is about him winning. Did answer this? You know the impact starts at 0. The title of the article is literally about what would happen in what post-Trump re-election. That's obviously happened, which are also the analytics that were in the one area. I'm not going for the Wayland card, but I'm going for the examples that the one area of Greenland, Venezuela, pulling out the treaties, being mean to Europe. All those are thumpers that prove that Trump is already killing alliances and triggering the impact. One area made this explicit. This was a response I made before the Wayland card, which is Trudeau dropped. This means that Trump is not constrained right now, and he's thumping their impact, disproving it because even though he's a populist with full control, able to do whatever he wants, and literally invading Venezuela, threatening to invade our allies' territory, but people still don't care. And it still has a cost escalation, which disproves the turn to arms racing because the European countries don't care about Trump because they know he won't. Don't care about Trump. Proven by the past 3 months, the turn drop responded, even if their evidence is specific, they drop our analytic, which is sufficient. Now, also go for planet unpopular. They drop our survey about U.S. policy. Smells is best. It's asking people about U.S. policy. Their card is about the globe. 63% of people view the planet as unpopular, which means they hate Trump. Post planet ACA. They support arms control, but the more important thing is that this card is about global policy, only ours about U.S. policy. Analytical link doesn't make sense because people don't know about the intricacies of Air Force posture. Good faith.
Can I get a card doc that wipes out all headers and analytics except for like cards that separate case and the disapp?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
You.
Oh, okay.